Yirmiyahu 38. And Shephatiyahu, the son of Matan, and Gedaliahu, the son of Pashhur, and Yuchal, the son of Shelemiyahu, and Pashhur, the son of Malachiyahu, heard the words that Yirmiyahu spoke to all the people, saying, Thus saith Yahweh, He that abideth in this city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Kashdim shall live, and his soul shall be to him for plunder, and he shall live. Thus saith Yahweh, This city shall surely be given into the hand of the army of the king of Babel, and he shall take it. Then the princes said to the king, Let this man, we pray thee, be put to death, forasmuch as he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in this city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words to them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. And Thidkiyahu, the king, said, Behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then took they Yirmiyahu and cast him into the dungeon of Malchijah, the king's son, that was in the court of the guard. And they let down Yirmiyahu with cords. And in the dungeon there was no water, but mire. And Yirmiyahu sank into the mire. Now, when Ebed-the-Melech the Ethiopian, a eunuch, who was in the king's house, heard that they had put Yirmiyahu in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Binyamin, Ebed-the-Melech went forth out of the king's house and spoke to the king, saying, My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Yirmiyahu the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon, and he is likely to die in the place where he is, because of the famine, for there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Ebed-the-Melech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Yirmiyahu the prophet out of the dungeon before he die. So Ebed-the-Melech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence rags and worn-out garments, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Yirmiyahu. And Ebed-the-Melech the Ethiopian said to Yirmiyahu, Put now these rags and worn-out garments under thy armholes, under the cords. And Yirmiyahu did so. And they drew up Yirmiyahu with the cords, and took him up out of the dungeon. And Yirmiyahu remained in the court of the guard. Then Thidkiyahu the king sent and took Yirmiyahu the prophet to him in the third entry that is in the house of Yahweh. And the king said to Yirmiyahu, I will ask thee a thing, hide nothing from me. Then Yirmiyahu said to Thidkiyahu, If I declare it to thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, thou wilt not hearken to me. So Thidkiyahu the king swore an oath secretly to Yirmiyahu, saying, As Yahweh liveth, that made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hand of these men that seek thy soul. Then said Yirmiyahu to Thidkiyahu, Thus saith Yahweh, the God of hosts, the God of Yisrael, If thou wilt go forth to the king of Babel's princes, then thy soul shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and thou shalt live, and thy house. But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babel's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Kashdim, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand. And Thidkiyahu the king said to Yirmiyahu, I am afraid of the Yehudim that are fallen away to the Kashtim, lest they deliver me into their hand, and they mock me. But Yirmiyahu said, They shall not deliver thee. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of Yahweh, in that which I speak to thee. So it shall be well with thee, and thy soul shall live. But if thou refuse to go forth, this is the word that Yahweh hath showed me. Behold, all the women that are left in the king of Yehuda's house shall be brought forth to the king of Babel's princes, and those women shall say, Thy familiar friends have deceived thee, and have prevailed against thee, over thee. Now that thy feet are sunk in the mire, they are turned away back. And they shall bring out all thy women and thy children to the Kashtim, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand, but shalt be taken by the hand of the king of Babel, and thou shalt cause this city to be burned with fire. Then said Tzidkiyahu to Yirmiyahu, Let no man know of these words, that thou shalt not die. But if the princes hear that I have talked with thee, and they come to thee and say to thee, Declare to us now what thou hast said to the king, hide it not from us, and we will not put thee to death, also what the king said to thee, then thou shalt say to them, I presented my supplication before the king, that he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there. Then came all the princes to Yirmiyahu and asked him, and he told them according to all these words that the king had commanded. So they left off speaking with him, for the matter was not perceived. So Yirmiyahu abode in the court of the guard until the day that Jerusalem was taken.